There she was, frozen behind the counter of downtown LA's busiest coffee shop, her hands trembling as tears welled up in her eyes. The businessman in the tailored suit towered over her, his face red with anger as he berated her over a $5 coffee order. The morning crowd stood silent, uncomfortable, yet nobody stepped forward. Nobody except one man. The door chimed as a figure in a black motorcycle jacket entered, his presence immediately commanding attention. The security camera footage caught what happened next, a moment that would change everything. When Keanu Reeves stepped between the raging customer and the young barista, nobody expected what he would say or do. His words that morning wouldn't just save one person's dignity. They would spark a movement that touched millions. The businessman's face transformed from anger to shock as he realized who was confronting him. But Keanu wasn't there as a celebrity. He was there as a human being who couldn't stand by and watch cruelty unfold. This is the true story of how a simple coffee shop confrontation turned into something extraordinary. A story about standing up for what's right, even when everyone else stays silent. The security footage went viral within hours. The truth behind what really happened that morning will stun you. The morning sun cast long shadows through the windows of Bean and Brew, a cozy coffee shop nestled in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. The aroma of freshly ground coffee beans filled the air as Sarah Matthews adjusted her green apron, preparing for another busy morning shift. At 19 years old, she wasn't just any barista. She was a fighter, working 2 jobs to put herself through college while helping her single mom with the bills back home. The shop had its usual morning rhythm. The espresso machine hummed steadily, steam rising in delicate wisps as Sarah crafted drink after drink. Regular customers, mostly office workers and creative professionals from nearby buildings, formed a constant stream through the door. They knew Sarah by name, appreciated her warm smile, and the way she remembered their orders without asking. But beneath Sarah's cheerful demeanor lay a weight few could see. Her latest tuition bill sat unopened in her backpack, another reminder of the mounting pressure. Each coffee she served represented another small step toward her dream of becoming a nurse, inspired by the healthcare workers who had helped her mom through a difficult illness 3 years ago. The morning rush was in full swing. Laptops dotted the reclaimed wood tables, their owners lost in work while sipping their carefully crafted beverages. The exposed brick walls and industrial lighting created an atmosphere that usually felt welcoming. But today, something felt different. There was a tension in the air, like the heaviness before a storm. Sarah glanced at the clock, 8:47 a.m., the busiest time of day, when patience ran thin and the line of customers stretched toward the door. Her co-worker had called in sick, leaving her to manage the morning rush alone. She took a deep breath, remembering what her mom always said, "1 cup at a time, sweetheart. That's all anyone can ask." Little did Sarah know that this ordinary Tuesday morning was about to become anything but ordinary. In the next few minutes, everything would change. The security cameras would capture a moment that would spread across the internet like wildfire, touching millions of hearts and proving that sometimes heroes appear in the most unexpected places. The events about to unfold would transform not just Sarah's life, but spark a conversation about kindness that would reach far beyond the walls of the small coffee shop. The bell above the door chimed again as more customers entered, and Sarah squared her shoulders, ready to face whatever the morning might bring. She had no idea she was about to meet someone who would change her life forever. The shop's bell rang sharply as James Richardson burst through the door. His perfectly pressed suit and leather briefcase marked him as another financial district regular, but his scowl suggested this wasn't going to be a typical transaction. Sarah noticed him immediately. It was hard not to. He walked with the authority of someone used to making demands and having them met without question. Richardson approached the counter, phone pressed to his ear, deep in what sounded like a heated business call. Sarah waited patiently, already sensing the storm brewing. Other customers shifted uncomfortably, recognizing the familiar signs of someone about to make a scene. The line behind him grew longer, but Richardson seemed oblivious to everyone else's time. Finally, he ended his call and turned his attention to Sarah. His order came out rapid fire. A Veni Soy quadruple shot vanilla latte with extra hot milk, sugar-free syrup, and a precise temperature of 185 degrees. Sarah nodded, carefully inputting each specification into the register. When she repeated the order back to confirm, Richardson's expression darkened. "I said sugar-free vanilla syrup. Are you even listening?" His voice carried across the shop, causing several customers to look up from their laptops. Sarah apologized softly and made the correction, her fingers trembling slightly as she adjusted the order. The total came to $7.85. Richardson thrust his premium credit card toward her. The card reader beeped red declined. Sarah politely asked if he had another form of payment. That's when everything escalated. Richardson's face flushed dark red as he jabbed his finger toward the card reader. "This is ridiculous. I'm a platinum card holder. The problem is clearly your incompetence with the machine." His voice boomed through the shop, bouncing off the exposed brick walls. Sarah tried explaining that she could try running the card again, but Richardson wasn't listening anymore. "Do you know how much I make in a year? More than you'll see in a decade serving coffee. You're probably too stupid to even do basic math. That's why you're stuck here, isn't it?" The words hit Sarah like physical blows. Her eyes stung with tears she desperately tried to hold back. Other customers watched in shocked silence. A few looked like they wanted to intervene but remained frozen, caught in that peculiar urban paralysis where everyone hopes someone else will step up. The morning soundtrack of gentle coffee shop music felt bizarrely out of place against Richardson's continuing tirade. "I want to speak to your manager right now," he demanded, leaning over the counter into Sarah's space. "Someone needs to teach you how to do your job properly. You're clearly not qualified to be handling anyone's money." Sarah's hands shook as she tried to explain that the manager wouldn't be in for another hour. Her voice came out barely above a whisper, nearly drowned out by the hissing of the espresso machine. The line of waiting customers had grown longer, their discomfort palpable in the tense atmosphere. Richardson wasn't finished. He pulled out his phone, starting to record Sarah. "I'm going to make sure everyone knows how incompetent the service is here. You'll be lucky if you have a job by the end of the day." Sarah felt her world shrinking, narrowing to this horrible moment. Everything she'd worked for, her college dreams, her mother's pride, her own sense of dignity, seemed to be crumbling under this man's verbal assault. The security camera in the corner silently recorded everything, its red light blinking steadily, capturing what was about to become a viral moment seen by millions. That's when the shop's bell chimed again. Through the glass door stepped a figure in a black motorcycle jacket, helmet tucked under his arm. Nobody in the shop could have predicted how this simple coffee run was about to transform into something extraordinary. The motorcycle helmet tucked under his arm, Keanu Reeves paused just inside the doorway. His presence wasn't immediately noticed. He didn't command attention the way some celebrities might. Instead, he observed the scene before him with a quiet intensity that had become his trademark both on and off screen. He'd stopped for coffee between shooting scenes for his latest film, hoping to grab a quick espresso and return to set. But the moment he stepped inside, he sensed the hostile energy filling the small shop. Through the crowd, he could see the young barista's face, fighting back tears as the suited man continued his verbal assault. Keanu moved forward slowly, not drawing attention to himself. A few customers recognized him, their eyes widening, phones discreetly emerging from pockets. But Keanu's focus remained on the confrontation unfolding at the counter. The businessman's voice grew louder, his threats more intense, while Sarah struggled to maintain her composure. Taking off his leather jacket, Keanu made his way through the line. His movement was deliberate, unhurried. The morning sun streaming through the windows caught his profile, and a ripple of recognition moved through the crowd. Some customers stepped back, creating a path to the counter. The security camera captured it all. The subtle shift in the room's energy, the way people straightened up, the moment when hope replaced helplessness. Richardson was so caught up in his tirade that he didn't notice Keanu's approach. Sarah saw him first. Her eyes met his briefly, confusion mixing with recognition. Keanu gave her a small, reassuring nod before stepping forward to stand beside Richardson. He didn't speak immediately. He simply waited, his presence creating a sudden pocket of calm in the chaos. The shop fell silent except for the gentle hum of the espresso machine. Richardson, feeling the shift in atmosphere, turned to see what had caught everyone's attention. His face transformed as he registered who was standing next to him. The phone he'd been using to record Sarah lowered slowly to his side. Keanu didn't play up his celebrity status. He stood there in his simple black t-shirt and jeans, his presence powerful precisely because of its understated nature. The security footage would later show this moment in perfect detail. How he positioned himself slightly between Sarah and Richardson, a quiet guardian in an unexpected place. The morning sun cast long shadows across the coffee shop floor, and in that moment, something shifted. It wasn't just about a celebrity intervention. It was about basic human dignity, about standing up when others stayed silent. Nobody in the shop could have guessed how the next few minutes would unfold, or how this simple act of stepping forward would spark a movement that would touch millions of lives. Keanu's voice, when he finally spoke, carried a gentleness that contrasted sharply with Richardson's previous outburst. "I couldn't help but overhear what's happening here," he said, his tone measured and calm. "Maybe we can find a better way to handle the situation." Richardson's demeanor shifted instantly. His face, previously contorted with rage, now displayed an uncomfortable mix of recognition and embarrassment. You're Keanu Reeves," he stammered, attempting to smooth his tie with trembling fingers. "Yes, I am," Keanu acknowledged simply. "But right now, I'm just someone who thinks we all need to remember our humanity." He gestured towards Sarah, who stood watching the exchange with wide eyes. "This young woman has been nothing but professional while trying to help you with a declined card. Something that happens to all of us sometimes." The security footage captured how Keanu then did something unexpected. He reached for his own wallet. "Let me buy your coffee today," he offered to Richardson. "But in return, I'd like you to consider something. Every person behind this counter is someone's daughter, someone's son. They're working hard, pursuing their dreams, just like we all did at some point." Richardson's face flushed deeper, but for a different reason now. The phone he'd been using to record Sarah disappeared into his pocket. The crowd of customers watched in complete silence, many recording the interaction on their phones. As Keanu continued, "I've worked in the service industry," Keanu shared, his voice carrying clearly through the hushed coffee shop, "long before any movies. It taught me that kindness costs nothing, but its absence costs everything. The way we treat each other, especially in small moments like this, that's what defines us." Sarah, still behind the counter, watched as Keanu turned to her. "Are you okay?" he asked genuinely. When she nodded, he smiled warmly. "What's your name?" "Sarah," she managed to reply, her voice steadier now. "Sarah," Keanu repeated, before turning back to Richardson. "Now you know her name. Not just a barista, but Sarah. Someone working toward her dreams, just like you once did." Richardson's transformation was visible. The anger had completely deflated, replaced by visible shame. I apologize," he said, first to Keanu, then turning to Sarah. "I was completely out of line. The stress of my morning, but that's no excuse. I'm sorry." Keanu nodded approvingly, then did something that would later become one of the most shared moments from the security footage. He ordered 2 coffees, one for Richardson and one for himself. As they waited, he engaged Richardson in quiet conversation about stress management and meditation, sharing personal experiences about finding peace in chaos. The other customers watched as these 2 men, one a famous actor, one a humble businessman, stood side by side waiting for their drinks. Sarah, with slightly shaking hands but a small smile now playing on her lips, prepared their orders. When the coffees were ready, Keanu handed one to Richardson. Sometimes we all need a reminder to slow down, to be kind, he said. Today's coffee comes with that reminder. Then, turning to the crowd of onlookers, he added something that would later be quoted thousands of times across social media. The real power we have isn't in how much money we make or what we achieve. It's in how we treat each other, in these small moments that seem insignificant, but ripple out to shape our world. Richardson nodded, clutching his coffee cup like a lifeline. Before leaving, he turned one last time to Sarah. "I truly am sorry," he said, his voice thick with genuine remorse. "I'll do better." The security footage showed him walking out, shoulders slumped but perhaps carrying a lesson he'd never forget. The morning sun caught his figure as he pushed through the door, a changed man from the one who had stormed in minutes earlier. The coffee shop buzzed with energy after Richardson left. Customers who had witnessed the confrontation began sharing their recordings on social media. The security camera footage kept rolling as Keanu turned his full attention to Sarah, who was still processing what had just happened. "Thank you," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "I didn't know what to do. He was so angry, and I needed this job for college." Her words trailed off as tears finally broke free, the emotional weight of the morning catching up with her. Keanu stepped closer to the counter, his presence reassuring rather than intimidating. "You handled yourself with grace," he said softly. "Tell me about college. What are you studying?" As Sarah shared her dream of becoming a nurse, inspired by those who had helped her mother, Keanu listened intently, nodding encouragingly. The other customers in line didn't mind waiting. They watched as Keanu pulled out a small notepad from his jacket pocket, wrote something down, and handed it to Sarah. The security footage wouldn't capture what was written, but Sarah's reaction said everything. Her eyes widened and fresh tears formed, these ones of gratitude and disbelief. Word spread quickly through social media. Within hours, #KindnessKeanu and #CoffeeShopHero were trending. The videos showed different angles of the confrontation, but they all captured the same powerful message about compassion and standing up for others. Local news vans began arriving outside the coffee shop. Sarah's phone buzzed constantly with notifications as her social media followers grew exponentially. The coffee shop's regular customers started sharing their own stories about Sarah's kindness, how she remembered their orders, asked about their families, offered encouragement on tough days. By afternoon, the shop had become a pilgrimage site of sorts. People came in hoping to stand where Keanu had stood, to order coffee from Sarah, to be part of something that felt genuine in a world often lacking in simple kindness. The tip jar overflowed, many customers slipping in $20 and $50 bills with notes saying, "For your education," or "Keep pursuing your dreams." The shop owner, moved by the events, came in early from a business meeting. He announced that the shop would establish a college fund for all its employees, inspired by Sarah's story and Keanu's intervention. The security cameras captured him hugging Sarah, both of them overwhelmed by the day's events. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows through the windows, Sarah took a moment to read the note Keanu had given her. The security footage showed her clutching it to her chest, smiling through tears. Later, she would reveal that besides a generous contribution to her college fund, the note contained a simple message: "Your kindness in the face of cruelty shows more strength than any angry word ever could. Keep shining bright." Keanu, what started as a terrifying confrontation had transformed into something beautiful, a reminder that sometimes it takes just one person standing up to change everything. The coffee shop had become more than just a place for morning beverages. It had become a symbol of how small acts of kindness could spark enormous change. The ripple effects of that morning in the coffee shop continued to spread far beyond anyone's expectations. A week after the incident, Sarah's story was featured on national news networks. The security footage had been viewed over 50 million times across various platforms, sparking conversations about workplace dignity, kindness, and standing up against bullying. Richardson's transformation became part of the story, too. In an unexpected turn of events, he reached out to several news outlets to share his perspective. He spoke openly about how the encounter had changed him, describing how Keanu's intervention made him confront his own behavior and its impact on others. He revealed that he'd started volunteering at local service industry worker support programs, turning his moment of shame into a catalyst for positive change. The Bean and Brew coffee shop underwent its own transformation. What was once a local caffeine stop became a symbol of hope and kindness. Visitors from across the country made pilgrimages to the shop, often leaving notes and small gifts for Sarah. The walls, once bare brick, now displayed hundreds of colorful sticky notes with messages of encouragement and stories of kindness. Sarah's college dreams took an unexpected turn. The video's viral spread caught the attention of several healthcare organizations. 3 major hospitals in Los Angeles offered her guaranteed nursing positions upon graduation. A healthcare education foundation established the Sarah Matthews Scholarship for service industry workers pursuing medical careers, ensuring others could follow their dreams too. Keanu's impact continued as well. Though he never sought attention for his actions, his example inspired other celebrities to share their own stories of standing up against public bullying. A movement began called Stand Like Keanu, encouraging people to intervene peacefully when witnessing public harassment. The coffee shop owner expanded his employee education program nationally. What started as a single shop's response grew into a foundation supporting service industry workers across the country. Within 6 months, over 500 workers had received educational grants, each one inspired by that morning's events. Social media platforms reported a significant increase in content about workplace kindness and intervention strategies. The security footage became required viewing in customer service training programs, management seminars, and even some high school social studies classes discussing civil courage and social responsibility. Sarah herself emerged as an unexpected spokesperson for workplace dignity. While continuing her nursing studies, she began giving talks at schools and businesses about resilience, kindness, and the importance of standing up for others. Her story resonated particularly with young workers and students, who saw in her someone who refused to let circumstances define her future. Perhaps most remarkably, the incident sparked a national conversation about how we treat service workers. Several states introduced legislation strengthening protections against workplace harassment, with some politicians specifically citing the coffee shop incident as inspiration. Business schools added modules about emotional intelligence and workplace dignity to their management programs. 1 year after the incident, Bean and Brew hosted a reunion. The security cameras that had captured the original confrontation now recorded a celebration of its impact. Sarah, now in her 2nd year of nursing school, stood behind the same counter, serving coffee to a line of customers that included Richardson, now a regular advocate for workplace respect, and Keanu, who stopped by unannounced, true to his humble nature. The simple act of standing up for someone had created a cascade of positive change, proving that sometimes the smallest moments can have the biggest impact. As Sarah would often say in her talks, it just takes one person to stand up and then another until kindness becomes our default response. 2 years after that fateful morning at Bean and Brew, Sarah stood on a stage at her nursing school graduation. The security footage from the coffee shop played on a large screen behind her as she delivered the class valedictorian speech. Her words echoed to the auditorium, reminding everyone how a single moment of kindness changed countless lives. In the audience sat familiar faces, her proud mother, her former coffee shop colleagues, and even Richardson, who had become one of her strongest supporters. Keanu sent a video message, congratulating Sarah and the graduating class, reminding them that compassion should always be part of their medical practice. Bean and Brew had transformed into more than just a coffee shop. The original security camera still hung in its corner, now decorated with a small plaque commemorating that morning. The shop had become a symbol of hope, a reminder that standing up for what's right could spark unprecedented change. The education foundation it inspired had now helped over 1,000 service workers, pursue their dreams of higher education. Sarah's story continues to inspire. Now working as a nurse in the same hospital that once treated her mother, she carries the lessons from that morning into her daily practice. Each patient she treats receives the same kindness and dignity that Keanu showed her that day. The viral video, which now has over 100 million views, is still shared regularly as a testament to the power of standing up for others. The incident proved that heroism doesn't always require grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as standing beside someone who feels alone, speaking up when others remain silent, or showing kindness when faced with cruelty. As Sarah often says to new nursing students, every day gives us a chance to be someone's Keanu Reeves, to stand up, speak out, and change a life. This story remains a powerful reminder that in our most vulnerable moments, heroes can appear in unexpected places, and that kindness once sparked can illuminate countless lives.